This clip is all about creating a dark, moody night sky. I'm working on Bockingford paper, 300 grams per square metre. I have masked out a moon shape using Pebeo drawing gum, which can be applied using a brush. You can also use masking fluid, but you'd have to use either a ruling pen or the wrong end of your paintbrush or a cocktail stick or something. Don't use a brush because it'll wreck your brushes. You can protect your brushes a little bit with masking fluid if you use washing up liquid, and so dip your brush in washing up liquid, squeeze it out and then put it in the masking fluid, but it's not foolproof. You would need to reserve a brush just for that. So that's the Pebeo drawing gum is what I've used to create my moon shape. That's going to preserve the white of the paper. Today I'm using an SAA worker brush. It's a synthetic brush. It's in their silver range. It's quite springy. You need a brush that's got some, sorry, I'll bounce that around there where you can see it. You need a brush that's got some substance behind it, so use a synthetic brush. I've got my Cassart travel palette, I've got a bar of soap, and I've got a pot of clean water. And I'm also going to be taking some white watercolour, shock horror, hardly ever use white watercolour, and I'll be taking that from my other palette, which is my best palette, but I'm saving that at the moment because it's I'm halfway through a commission, so I don't want to mess anything up in there. So let's give it a go. So we're going to start off, wet your brush, pick up some mid blue. This is cobalt blue on your brush. I'm going to just wet my brush a tiny bit more, pick up a little bit more cobalt blue, so you can see that's quite liquid in there now. Then I'm going to rub it on the soap, and next I'm just going to squiggle it across my sky. I'm going to need some more, so pick up more water, more cobalt blue, onto the soap. This is just a Pears, I think, soap, it's nothing fancy. More paint, move it around on the soap and then across the paper. I'm working quite small because this is just an exercise, so I don't want to get hung up about wasting paper, so it's just a scrap of paper. So now I'm washing my brush clean. I'm only working with one pot of water today because it doesn't matter if it gets mucky. I'm only using blue, I'm using cobalt blue, French ultramarine, Payne's grey, white, and possibly a bit of black as well. So it doesn't matter if my water gets mucky. So now I'm picking up the ultramarine onto the soap. I'm going to need some more, so back into my ultramarine, onto the soap, and we'll just squiggle our way across the sky. So this is what we're doing is we're creating a moody sort of sky, and what the soap is doing is it's keeping the marks in the paint, so you're getting that real just that really cloudy effect from the paints not moving together, and that's what the soap's doing, it's just stopping the paint from melding together. So now I'm picking up some Payne's grey onto the soap, onto my paper. And you can just go where you want with this. I'm doing it in lines. You could create circles around. Just use your imagination. There we go. Now I'm going to go and pick up some white. It's just white watercolour, the one that I tell everybody to banish from their palette. You can get it out for this. Onto the soap. Just add a bit water to that. And then I'll just add a few white highlights in my sky. It's coming out quite grey, and that's okay, because the only actual white bits I want in this painting is the moon, and that will happen when we take the masking fluid off with the drawing gum. Now I'm going to add some black. So each time I'm going into the paint, onto the soap, and then across my sky, wherever I want it to go. Can I put a bit more blue on? So I'm going back to the cobalt, onto the soap, into my sky. So can you see how we're getting a really moody sky here? Just going to put some few little bits of white in, smaller bits of white. A bit more black. Just to soften those edges of white, because I'm feeling like that's a bit harsh at the moment. Right, so now I need to let that dry. Once it's dry, I can pick off the masking fluid and then just add a little bit of detail to the moon. So I've been away, I've dried it with a hairdryer, and now I'm back to get the masking fluid off, and it's proving quite difficult. It's not coming off very cleanly with my finger, so what I have found that I had to do is just pick up an edge. You can use a fingernail to pick an edge, and then use a little bit of a rubber, and I'll just show you now, just push it with a rubber to get that masking fluid off if yours is stuck like mine was. The masking fluid, it's not been on there for that long, a couple of days maximum. In fact, I think I only put it on there yesterday, ready to do this demonstration today, so maybe the soap has affected the masking fluid coming off. But we're there now anyway. I do have a few marks on here, I don't know whether you can see those too clearly. There's a few marks on there. It's not come off as cleanly as I would like, but it's the moon, so it doesn't matter, the moon's got markings on it anyway. Right, let's move on. So now we need to find the same colours that we used before and just put some of these clouds across the face of the moon. So I'm going to dip in my rather grey looking water now, pick up some cobalt, but not as much this time, onto the soap, and then I'm going to a lot more water and a lot less paint. So did you see how delicately I placed that then before stopping? Also, I've got a piece of loo roll. There we go, you can see it now. I've got a piece of loo roll in my hand, it's wrapped around my finger, ready to dab. So across we go, dab. Across we go, give it a dab. Wash my brush. Pick up some of this. I can just pick it up from the soap, actually I've got plenty left on there. And just little hints of clouds going across here, and I'm dabbing a lot. So I'm kind of looking at where the lines went before, going for the darker colours, and just following across. So there's a bit of black that goes there, and it pops up again there, and then dab it. And then I'm going to pick some of this white up and just take some of that white across here, and it's actually quite grey, the white, so it blends in quite easily. And that's it, because I don't want to obliterate it, I just want it to look like it belongs. I might just see, now that it's all dry, about adding a couple of extra white highlights in these clouds, just to lift it a tiny bit. Notice how I'm using the point of the brush and I am making broken lines and I'm moving the brush as I go because I don't want straight lines here. Okay, clean my brush. I also, now I'm finished, I need to clean those paints because as I was going I will have been putting soap in my paint palette, so I'm going to get a separate pot of water, a clean pot of water, and I'm just going to wash these 3 paints and the white that I used before, so that next time I come to use those paints I've not got soap getting in my way. Okay, any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll see what I can do about answering them.